Hi YouTube, it's your boy 100. Today I want to introduce you into an amazing product that solves the excess movement of the drive shaft. Excess movement of the drive shaft is oftentimes part of the reason your drive shaft spline adhesive fails and you end up with the clunking, the knocking, the grinding, and the crunching sounds. So come on in close. I'm going to give you a better look at this kit. It's an amazing kit and it'll soon be available at renfix.com. Okay, so here's the kit, guys, and this is the OEM carrier that I cut out of my car. So I'm going to explain to you. Here you can see the cut points. Cut it here and here. All right, so I want you to look at this rubber in here. There's a couple of things about it that make it fail. One, it's thin as it can be. It is so thin. If you look in there, look at how, you see this tiny thin little ring is the only piece connecting your carrier support to your carrier bearing. Okay, this eventually oxidizes and rips. Why does it oxidize? Because they make it out of cheap junk rubber. It's almost brittle now. Cheap junk. And my car's a 2020. Cheap junk rubber that they know is going to fail, and it is thin as paper. Okay, it's about, I don't know, 1/8 inch thick. Thin. Okay, it's thin so they know it's going to fail. And when it does fail, now your drive shaft is just rattling around in here loose, free like that. Okay, that lateral movement is the cancer. When you get your car brand new, and this is all brand new, you're fine. It works good, it's quiet, and like, why would I want to change it? It looks nice and everything, and it looks thick, but it isn't. It just has little ridges, but it isn't thick. Here's thick. This is one of the bushings. Look how thick this is compared to the OEM. Okay, that's the difference in the amount of contact point, and this is better quality rubber. This is nice, ductile, good rubber. This is almost drying out already, and my car is only like 5 years old. Okay, so I cut this out while I was in there. So why would you want to do it, and what is the cancer? Well, I'll tell you what the cancer is. Once this does fail, okay, you'll hear nothing, it'll be fine. But once it does fail, the lateral movement wears your carrier bearing, and it wears the needle bearings inside your universal joint. You know, your universal joint is supposed to turn nice and smooth like that, but it starts wobbling. Okay, that hits the corners of the bearings inside there, and the needle bearings wear out, and the carrier bearing went out. And then what do you have to do? You have to replace the whole drive shaft. Okay, now you're looking at whatever, I don't know what it is, $3,500 with labor and the parts of labor. I don't know what a drive shaft costs to replace. If you can get some guy on the side to do it for $1,500 or whatever. But for $299, dude, you need to get this done while you're in there. Why would you not? I mean, I don't know. I'm doing mine because I understand all the dynamics of how things fail, and this is one of the best solutions I've seen on the market, bar none. The quality of the build, the quality of the metal carriage, the bolts, the fasteners, the stainless steel bolts, it's just nice. Even the mount bushing, the mount grommets, and their hardware, look at that stainless steel. Very, very well made. Everything is just awesome. It was a no-brainer for me. I was looking for something like this, and I'm changing out all my other bearings, my bushings too. Of course, I'm putting the bolt saver 2 in the back of the differential, and the bolt saver plus in the front of my differential. And then I want to make sure I shore up my drive shaft while I'm in there, and that's why I'm putting in the JXB. So, to answer the question, yes, your carrier bearing will work fine, OEM, for a while. And you won't hear anything. But if you wait until you actually hear something, it's too late. It's just like cancer in people, it's just like cancer. It's like once you hear something, you're changing out your drive shaft. Okay, you don't want the OEM to fail and then you can't fix it. You know, this won't fix that once it fails. So this is really, really cheap insurance. And that's the beauty of this part, the way it comes to loose. Now, I want to address the question that people say, well, how does shoring up the drive shaft and shoring up the differential bushings, how does that add to throttle response? And how does that add to power transfer? That doesn't make any sense. Well, I'll explain it to you. It's not intuitive, but I'll explain it. It does it in two modes. Again, when there's excess movement in your drivetrain, be it the differential wobbling like this on the mounts, the bushings, or the drive shaft moving this way, those are forces that were meant to stay in line in the drive shaft straight, okay, straight along the drive shaft, and not go anywhere else. Once they go somewhere else, your throttle response is going to go down because your computer senses this. When you hit the throttle and the feedback from your drivetrain is sloppy, your ECU in your computer knows, hey, I'm going to reduce power so I don't damage anything. It reacts to the reaction of your drivetrain. Okay, that's one mode. That's the primary mode. And then the secondary mode is, a guy once asked me, well, if we arrest those lateral movements, aren't those lateral movements going to go somewhere else and do damage somewhere else in the car? Okay, and he was kind of on the right track, but he had it backwards. No, those lateral movements come from the drive shaft initially. You have to think, where does the power come from the car? The engine, transmission, and then to the drive shaft. It comes from the combustion chamber, the engine, to the transmission, to the drive shaft. And that power through that drive shaft is supposed to spin as smoothly as possible without wobble. So the power and those component forces, I'm trying to keep it as non-technical as possible so that it's clear. Those forces come from the drive shaft. They don't go to the drive shaft. Okay, they come from the drive shaft, just like a track runner. If you're running track and your hands are flailing all over the place, you're slower. Just like your car's gonna be slower. But if you run track and you keep everything straight and you're running like this, okay, Sha'Carri Richardson, you're gonna cross the finish line first because all of the power being generated is going where it's supposed to go and not everywhere else. Okay, so your differential moving around is a waste of power. Your drive shaft wobbling is a waste of power, and your drive shaft wobbling is going to wear out your carrier bearing and the needle bearings in your universal joint. Now, the carrier wobbling, it doesn't happen initially, so I don't think that's what's causing the clunk and the failure of the splines initially. What's happening to make those splines fail is the movement in the bushings that mount to the differential. That movement, that lateral movement, is stressing out those look, it's bending the bolts, so you can see there's the amount of stress. And the adhesive is not made to withstand those lateral stresses. It's just made to withstand a little bit of force this way and this way, just to hold the splines steady. It's not designed to hold force like that. That breaks it. So all that movement from the differential, from those soft bushings they put in there, the soft OEM bushings, even new, brand new, the OEM bushings are no good. Brand new, no good. Okay, that movement, that's where the clunk comes from. That's how that adhesive fails on the splines. Okay, so this is not what initially caused it. But if you allow this to get to the point where it fails, I promise you, it'll contribute even more to the spline failure than the differential bushings. So yes, in a nutshell, I could talk all day about the different dynamics and physics of how these things are excellent. And this particular brand and model is just fantastic. I've tested the durometers of the different bushings, and you know, the road and the track are almost the same. So I'm going with the track. I don't think it's going to add, you know, I would go out on a limb and say I know it's not going to add any additional noise, vibration, and harshness, regardless of which one you take. So I'm taking the firmer one. I'm taking the track version and putting it on my car. It's not going to add any additional noise or vibration. It's just not in a place where it can do that. So anyway, I don't want to belabor this forever, but a lot of people have been asking this, and I keep answering this question over and over and over again. You can get these on my website, renfix.com. You can get them from the manufacturer on their website as well. I'm doing an installation video and it'll be out soon. The manufacturer already has one on their website. Okay, so you can look that up if you want. And I just wanted to say this is a fantastic product. These are the modes of failure. These are the benefits of having it. It's going to protect your bearings. And that should do it. All right, so here's the drive shaft carrier on this 2020 BMW X3M competition. This is the right side. We'll go around nice and slow so you can get a good look. The left side. And this is what we'll be replacing today with our JXB upgrade. All right, so now it's time to install the JXB carrier support. And I'll be slicing the OEM here on the metal frame of it and on this side as well. And then I'll trim the rubber off, but not all of it. We're going to leave the part that's on the carrier bearing. The little sleeve of rubber, we're going to leave that on, and then we're going to mount the new JXB carrier around that. And I'm going to use the track bushing. There's a street bushing and a track bushing. They seem to be about the same, to be honest, to me. So I'm just going to use the track version because it's a slight bit firmer, but you almost can't tell the difference. So that'll be next. And once this is done and in and ready to go up, then I will raise up the differential, take the drive shaft out, and apply the Loctite 620 bonding adhesive to the splines of the drive shaft. We'll put it all back together and let it set for 3 days. I'm going to let it set for 3 days. The material safety data sheet for the MSDS for the Loctite stated that cure time is 24 hours, but people in the field have been telling me a better time is 72 hours, 3 days. So that is what I'm going to do, and that is what I would recommend you do as well. So let's get right into it. All right, guys, I'm going to cut the little metal framing around the bushing. I'm going to use this little saw right here. Don't ask me where I got it from, because you probably don't want to get this. It's like $800, and I don't know where I got it from. I got it years ago from Japan, and it's expensive. So you're probably going to have to do your own sourcing of a saw to do this job. But I don't know where you can get this one. It's very expensive, and I don't know where they are. Anyway, I'm going to cut right here and in the same location on the other side. I'm probably not going to be able to show you all that with one hand, but I'll show you a little bit of the cut. All right, so when you cut the rubber on the carrier, that inner portion right here, you want to leave this part. You want to leave this part right here. You want to leave that part. I'll let you see mine when it's done, what I left. But you want to leave this part because your JXB goes on top of that. Okay, the JXB portion goes on top of that. So you want to leave that portion. Don't cut it all off. You just want to cut right in that little ditch. See that little trench? There's a little trench right in here. Cut around that. Remove this. And then leave this part on, okay, on the carrier bearing, and you put your JXB carrier support over that. I'll show it again for clarity once I get mine done. All right, so we got the first side cut through. As you can see, it's not too thick. Let's see, can you see that? Is it too bright? And I'll do the same thing on the other side, and then we'll cut the rubber. Now, I strongly recommend you cut the metal first before cutting any of the rubber, because the rubber actually helps hold it in place for you. So it stabilizes it so you can so that you can actually cut it. If you're actually going to do it with a manual or a hand jigsaw or something like that, or hacksaw, I should say, you're gonna really want to make sure you do the metal first and then cut the rubber. Don't cut any of your rubber before you cut the metal, because the rubber is going to help hold it in place for you. All right, so now I'll do the same thing to the other side, and then I'll start cutting my rubber. All right, here's the OEM brace before. And now I'm going to go ahead and show you the JXB after. Here it comes. All right, so here is the right side. We did the left side, and here is the right side, and I'm pretty sure Yep. Okay, yeah. So that piece can just come off. All right, and then as you cut the rubber around, and I'll get a razor blade and I'll show you that, you can cut that rubber. You can take the rest of that metal off. This metal, yeah. No, it might come off now. Yeah, it'll come off now. Good. So I'll work that off, and then I will cut the rubber around, and you'll see what's left. So let me get that going. I probably might have to bend this a little bit, or just force it off. Can't do it with one hand, but anyway, I'll show you when it's off. All right, got it off. Little cheap aluminum casting. Pretty cheap actually. So now we'll just get a blade and go around this. We'll prep it for the JXB, and then I'll show you the installation procedure, which is pretty simple. One of the main things, you just want to make sure that your text on your bushing itself is facing towards the front of the car, The words, the white writing on the bushing housing carriage itself is facing towards the front of the car. And then I'll show you how to do the grommets for the mount. Big washer, grommet. Then you put it in through the mount flange. Then on top of that, the next grommet. And then on top of that, the small washer. And I'll review that as we do the installation. All right, so I'm going to cut right in here. Okay, right there is where you want to cut. And I'd love to show you, but I just can't do it with one hand. So I'm gonna have to do it and then show you how much I cut. But there's like a little ridge, and there's the inside part. And then I'll show you when it's done. Should be pretty straightforward. Okay, so here's a technique tip. I found the best success in not trying to cut like this, not trying to move the knife, but hold the knife steady. So you want to put your blade in and turn it like this against the blade. You want to take the blade and put it right here in this little crevice where you want it, and hold, and then turn the bushing rubber against the blade. Don't try and cut, don't swipe like that, trying to cut with the blade. Hold the blade steady and then turn like that and cut. All right, so I'm going to show you guys how to put on this carrier support, the JXB carrier support. The metal framing has letters on it, okay? It has white lettering on it. Those white letters face the front. And the little bushing, see the little slit in it? It has a slit. That goes, the shorter side goes closer towards the front. And if you look at it closely when you have it off, there's little arrows on it. They're kind of hard to see, but there's little arrows that point to the orientation so that they're facing the front. So I'm going to turn this around and put it over. Here's my little, about a 1/4 inch of rubber left on my carrier bearing. And I'm going to put this over the top like so. Okay. And that is lined up on the carrier bearing. So the bottom half, I gotta hold it. I'm gonna get the bottom half, and I'm gonna also make sure that the letters on that is also facing the front. And then I'm gonna match this up and put the first set of bolts that hold just the frame together, not the mount bolts, but there are some a hex head bolt, not a hex head bolt. It's a box head bolt that's a 6mm. I'll show you right now. You see that? It has white lettering on there too. We're going to turn this around to face the front of the vehicle. And then you want to sandwich that remaining rubber portion that is on the carrier bearing. Sandwich that. And line up. I dropped one of my bolts. And you want to line it up and put those first two 6mm bolts into, and then I just use a short extension. You take this and you screw by hand, always by hand initially, otherwise you're going to strip it. And you get this started. like so. Just like that. Okay. Get that one started, and that'll hold it for you. You don't have to do it tight. Just get it started like so. And then you're going to do the same thing on the other side. Now, I'm going to put gasket sealer in the threads, gray gasket sealer in my threads so it doesn't loosen up. You don't have to, but I highly recommend it. But right now I'm just showing you how to put this in here. And then to make it easier, you can just turn it around a little bit to the angle. Like so. Do the other side. Okay. Like that. Line it up with the threads and start it by hand. Just like, there we go. Just like so. Now doing the other side. So now this is sandwiching, lightly sandwiching that carrier bearing. And then you want to kind of slide it around a little bit until it lines up, the hole lines up with the threaded hole in the frame. Then you're going to put the other bolts on. And there's an order that they go on. And I'll show you. It has a large washer, a small washer, and 2 grommets. Okay, so the way it goes, the order that it goes is, this is a 13 millimeter head on this bolt. It goes the large washer and the bolt first, okay? Then the first grommet with the little donut portion facing the actual frame. So it goes just like so, okay? Goes like that on there. And then, so you can turn around so you can see it, like that. Then that goes up into the frame, and then you go to the other side of it with the other grommet, with this part, the small part here, facing the framing, okay? And then you put the small washer on top of that, and then you thread it into the car, okay? You go like so. It's on top. You put it on top, and then a small washer, and then it goes into the frame. So I'll let you see it when it's done so that I can work. So here's an example. I just use gray gasket sealer like this, and I just put like a dab, just a little dab like that in the threads. Okay, I put it in the threads, and that prevents vibrations from causing it to come loose. I just put a little bit of gasket sealer in the threads like that, and that little bit of rubbery cushion, it's better than putting in, like, you know, blue Loctite or red Loctite, but it's better than nothing, and it won't allow the threads to, you know, the screw to slowly back out. So I do that in most of my threads on the chassis type parts. Alright, so now I'm going to lightly get the right side started nice and easy. I won't tighten it all the way. Okay, that's the right side. And then we'll do the left side. Alright, so now we're going to hand tight the left side, driver's side in the US. Just like that. Get that going. And then we'll torque those to 19 Newton meters or 14 foot-pounds, 14.01 foot-pounds, or 19 Newton meters, and we'll be good to go. All right, look at that. It's all snugged up, nicely torqued. It's great. Very happy with it. Excuse the little bits of gray gasket sealer around my bolts. I tend to get that stuff everywhere. But look at that, that looks great. Very happy with it. And I'm sure it's going to hold and last for many years to come.